So my goal is to try to build that self-esteem within men. There are going to be several topics that I'm going to cover, such as like having a positive attitude, you know, helping men know how to talk to friends and what friends to talk to, getting up, getting moving, being healthy, being physically fit. And I don't mean muscle bound, muscle head. I mean just get up, move, be healthy. Take pride in your temple. Also, very important, do something with purpose. Listen to your body and set aside time for yourself. A lot of times, men don't make that time that women are doing now, which is self love. We don't love on ourselves enough either. And I know that might be a little crazy for some guys, but those are some of the things that I want to talk about. Today, I want to talk about what value is um, to you and where does your self esteem lie. Also, about embracing your uniqueness. I think those are really, really important topics that we don't really talk about too much. Uh, so I'm going to try to hit on some different points on those notes. So first and foremost, let's talk about my value. My value for me is found in God. You know, not trying to push that onto anyone. That's just my belief, what I choose to believe in, what I've experienced, witnessed, and have had a pleasure of knowing in my life. And hopefully, through just casual conversation, that could be an influence to some of you guys out there. The reason why I say God has been a big value in my life is because, well, technically today is my son's death day. He died in 2018 in a house fire, and this is one of the reasons why I'm actually kind of starting on this influencer route, is because I want to do something to honor him. And I'm a very opinionated guy until the camera's on that I get all nervous. But my opinions are always in an effort to uplift other people. And he brought so much joy in my life during his time here that I want to be able to express that joy, that light, and try to give that light back. So this isn't about feeling sad or feeling down. This is about building, embracing a life that we have before us and the uniqueness in its challenges and learning how to overcome those challenges by building value and self. So that's why I say God has really been my coping mechanism. He's been my um, just everything in that area. In my therapist at times, and it comes with surrender. So surrender is a big value, and understanding that I cannot control everything. Giving up that control, giving up those things that I cannot change is very important. And that helps to increase the value, my self esteem, my self worth is feeling okay not knowing everything, feeling okay not being able to do everything, feeling okay and understanding that it's something outside of me that can take on some of those burdens. So that's why I say God adds that value to my life. So enough of that. I'm not going to get too preachy, but I just wanted to share that because that is a very big part of my life. I'm no saint by any measure of that. Oh God, I'm sinning like the rest of you guys. Trust me, every day I try to do a little bit better with the life that is granted to me. I'm not going to claim perfection. I have faults up and down. I'm pretty sure you can Google me and find faults. So I'm not up here to say that I'm without fault or try to say that you should do this or you should do that. These are just suggestions of what I'm hoping can bring you a little bit of light in your life. So that's my intro. Let's jump into it. I want to talk about being unique. I used to hate having to be unique as a young person, or not having to be unique. I used to hate being unique as a young person. I was that kid that liked to write poetry. I was that kid that never really was the star sports guy or really felt athletic at all. I was the kid that grew up poor, when everybody was wearing Eddie Bowers and Tommy Hill figure clothing. I was wearing Payless. And, you know, I just wasn't, I just didn't fit anywhere. There was no pot or group of people I fit with. The things that I liked were kind of anecdotal and just not really jumping at that time. So I didn't fit in anywhere. My uniqueness at that time I felt was like a social handicap. Now my uniqueness in life has really transpired to being a vessel of hope for other people. You know, I actually run a men's shelter, so I get a chance to really help people on a daily basis to find stability, find self worth and value within themselves. So that uniqueness was that is me helped me to be where I am in life. I'm not no 1% guy, or I ain't doing it like that, but I am trying to live with purpose. This too is part of me trying to live with purpose. Um, so, with that being said, uh, what brings value in your life? How do you see yourself? Um, do you embrace your uniqueness? And how would you rate your self esteem on a scale of 1 to 10? Uh, those are just some questions I want you to wrestle with, think about, really kind of dive into, and look at yourself. Now, the reason why I'm addressing this is for none other than the primary reason that men exist, which is to mate. Okay, our self-esteem is our value, our worth is the most important thing when it comes to finding good, healthy relationships. And if we do not have value, we do not have self esteem, we are not embracing our unique selves, and we don't see the worth in that, we will not have good relationships. I am a living testimony of failed relationships, and I have not been a victim in any of those relationships. And the reason why I say that is despite what was done in those relationships, I chose to be in those relationships. I chose to stick in those relationships and deal with the toxicity that were those relationships. But I was just as toxic as my mate was toxic because I was the bait pulling out toxic fish. If I was toxic bait pulling out toxic fish, which then equal a toxic combination. I had to look at myself because I did not have great self worth. Come on, I grew up poor in LA, right? That alone affects my worth. You know, my I have a lot of family history that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that really affected my self worth. My father wasn't in my life, no fault of his own. He died, when I was 2 years old. So I didn't get a chance to be raised with my actual father. That played a part in my self worth, along with a lot of other issues that I had to endure. But those issues have become other people's testimonies as well as my own. So that's a whole nother topic there. But I had to look at all those things that were affecting me and that was affecting my self-esteem, my value, my work, my and my inability to embrace my unique self. Those were the things that I was struggling with. So I'm asking you, look at yourself. Ask yourself, who are you? Who is your unique self? Who is the true self? All right, and are you? Is it a positive image, because that's what we're going for here. Your unique self should be something that's positive, uplifting. It should also be a light and a beacon to others. So, who is your unique self? And what does your value look like? Do you value yourself? Do you value who you are? Do you value the body that you're in? You know, can you stand alone? Those are a lot of important questions that you really have to wrestle with. Uh, I could not stand alone. I didn't know what it felt like to stand alone. For a long time, I was afraid to be alone because I didn't have enough self-esteem and value in myself to understand what that was. Therefore, I jumped from relationship to relationship to relationship, hoping that they would fill those gaps that I was missing in my life. And it never did. Unfortunately, it wasn't until 2018, June 13th, when my son died, that I was forced to go to therapy and start looking so much deeper at myself. And now here I am, married, and trying to live within a purpose of that God has given me, and I've been able to reconcile a lot of those things. So blessing and curses, as we call them, but more of a blessing. God will use tragic situations to bring you to a light if you let Him. So look at all those tragic situations that you've been through in life and see how that can be a new light for you in life. Okay, so let's get back to let's will that all back in real quick. Your value, your self-esteem, and your worth will dictate the type of women you date. A lot of guys will deal with things in a relationship that he should not be dealing with. Women will talk bad to you, they will talk down on you. That then causes you to act out in certain ways that is unbecoming of a man because you're choosing to deal with those situations. You will be with a woman that will be in your pocket and draining you when you can be making investments, to build your net worth, to build yourself up so you guys can have as a whole. You need a team mate and not a leech. And you also have to make sure that you're not being a leech either. These are very important things when you're talking about self worth and uniqueness and stepping outside the box. Everything we do as men comes back to dating and mating. Guys that are out in the street, thugging, selling drugs, not knocking nobody hustle, but that's just not something that I can, get with. But, that they do it, that's their means of survival. Hey, not throwing shade. But they are also out there because they feel like running with that crowd and doing that thing. It's not just about money. They want the money so they can have the women. No different, truthfully, than a Harvard graduate that goes to work at a Fortune 500 company making millions. You know, he gets into that position. These are all heterosexual guys. He gets in that position because then, when he's in that position, he can get the woman. Same thing, average Joes, the type of people they choose to hang around with, jobs they get, everything we do as men is geared toward mating. And if we're not careful, we are doing the wrong things when it comes to mating. Do what you love, find who you are first, build yourself up first before you start dating. My philosophy, and if I can go back and I wish somebody would have told me this, is I probably wouldn't have, you know, with the exception of my children, because I love my children, but if there was, if I had a little bit more knowledge, a couple years back, I wouldn't have started dating until I was 25 and had, a trade, education, a car, a down payment for a house. I wouldn't have started until I had me together, and dealt with a lot of my emotional trauma, and just had a better all around road. But I didn't know. So not knowing led me into a lot of bad relationships. And that's what I want. That's what I don't want to happen for a lot of you guys out there. Is I want you guys to really start looking at the type of women you're choosing in and what parts you play in those women, especially if those relationships are ending up in a bad way. My mom said something to me that woke me up. She said, "You keep running into all these bad women, and yeah, they did things to you. So, so what? The real question is, what is broken in you that you keep getting the same type of women?" Man, 30 something years old, my mom said that to me. And she's like, that's not knocking the good guy that you're trying to be, but what is broken in you that you keep getting the same type of women? Wow, that was powerful. I had to really just address everything about me. I had to look in the mirror and face some ugly truths about Mike. You know, take off my cape, as my therapist said. She said, take off your cape, stop being Captain Sable, start saving yourself. So, and these are women that's telling me this. So this isn't some male egotistical phenomena happening. My therapist was a woman. My mom is a woman. So they are telling me these things, and I'm like, wow, my therapist just called me Captain Sable. I need to take off my cape. I'm like, whoa, okay, hold up. So these things really really had me thinking about what my value and what my worth was at that time. So I had to start digging and digging areas I didn't even want to look at. Just looking at some of the ugly truths about life. So I did, and and now I am where I am. So that's what I want you guys to do. I want you to start looking, digging, looking at self, um, and seeing some of those ugly truths that you have to face and turning them into the light that I know you guys all can be. My first, and like I said, this one is kind of like my intro video. But the first thing I want to talk about is fear when I get into my other video. We're going to talk about fear and the effects of fear because men don't like being told no. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper in that. But in this video, I just want to ask you guys this. Who is your unique self? What value and worth do you hold? And just looking at how would you rate your self-esteem of 1 to 10? Not sure if I said this earlier because I would hate to repeat myself. But if I did, it's a good reminder. Somebody once said, and I'm sorry if I'm not giving them the credit, but they said the most important relationship is your relationship with God and the woman you choose, because that woman can lift you up or tear you down. I want to leave you guys on that note. I'll be back with next week to talk about fear. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for being with me tonight. Holla.